Hello everyone, and welcome to another Nox Corvus Dungeon Guide. In this guide, we'll be delving into the rocky depths of Thanalin's starter dungeon, the Copperbell Mines. Let's get started. Alright, here we are. The Copperbell Mines. We did it, everyone. We started our journey through the last beginner dungeon. First things first, finish off these minions and get the key to the door. Now at this point, we've been through a few dungeons together, and I think we can probably forego the tips and tricks for trash mobs. The only notable ones are the flaming bombs, like the flame bow, which we'll discuss in a moment, that explode in a large AoE. Do not stand in this or you will die. Good news though, this is heavily forecasted and you have plenty of time to get out of the way, so just make sure you do and everything will be fine. If you do want to see more information though on trash mobs in the future, let me know in the comments and I'll gladly include it. Alright, now before we get too much further, yes, you can activate this elevator without your party on it, so make sure to wait for everyone to get on. Sorry to the random group that I tested that on. Anyway, your main objective in the first half of the dungeon is to acquire fire sand, which you will then use to open different pathways through the mines. There will be several spots to loot fire sand on the ground and a few that drop from enemies. The first one is here, and the second one is located in the next room here. Each blasting device requires 12 ounces of fire sand, and each lootable piece is 6 ounces. I'm not sure why they made it this complicated, but it took me an embarrassing amount of time to figure this out. Eventually, you'll make your way to this room, which is a miniature gauntlet of sorts. Every few seconds, it spawns a few Spriggan sifters all over the arena. Tanks do not feel the need to go out of your way to grab these. They do very little damage, it takes very little to kill them as well. You'll also periodically see a flame bow pop up. These should be focused down because I believe they have a high damage explosive AoE, but I've never actually had one live long enough to prove it. After entirely too many waves of Spriggans and flame bows, the first boss, Kotos, will show up. He is an incredibly low health boss and should die very fast. He does, however, have an AoE ability. Tanks, make sure to face him away from the party. He also has a damage shield that he will attempt to place on himself called Immortalize, but that's really nothing to be concerned about. It doesn't do anything near what the name suggests. Once Kotos is down, you can grab his key, located next to the loot chest, and proceed to the next elevator down. You can kill the enemies here as normal, but if you are feeling lazy, you can just hop on the elevator and they will drop aggro when you descend. The next room is split into 3 sections. The left and the right have several enemies, but the ones we are interested in are the blasting caps. There are 1 in each side of the room, and they each drop a pinch of fire sand. Get both, and then we can proceed to the next boss. But do bear in mind that these blasting caps are the bomb enemies that I was talking about before. So they have that big AoE you want to be aware of, and just make sure you're not in it if it goes off. Once you've done that, you can set the fire sand charge and hit the plunger to open the door to the next boss. But don't forget to grab that fire sand along the way. The second boss is FFXIV, and man, does this guy shake up the formula. Up until now, we have seen a few different relatively simple mechanics on bosses. On FFXIV, we throw that all out the window in the best way. Tanks will still need to hold his attention as usual, but you'll quickly realize that you're not doing any damage to him, and that's by design. You need to use that improved blasting device to summon blasting caps. Again, throwing what we know out the window, you do not want to do that much damage to them beyond what it takes to get them to focus on the tank. After a short time, they'll explode, splitting this goober in half. Repeat this process 3 times and the boss will be small enough that you can actually deal some damage to him and finish him off. Be wary though, because the second and third blasting caps also come with a Spriggan whose goal is to kill the blasting cap before it explodes. DPS needs to make sure that they focus down the Spriggan, which is a fairly easy task since there's not much point to attacking the boss until its third split anyway. Once he's down, grab your blasting powder, blow a hole in that wall, and let's move on. The last major area before the final boss shows us what all those years of separation from the surface gets us. Lots of living fossils, strange creatures, and another giant. Be careful in here, it's a maze of different rock formations, and you can very easily pull extra packs of monsters if you're not careful. Once you make it to the other side of the room, it's time to face the dungeon's final boss. Okay, so again, as usual, here's your official spoiler warning. Go ahead and stop here if you don't want to have the last boss spoiled for you, but assuming you do, let's move right into Gygus the Great. So Gygas the Great goes back to our simple tank and spank boss formula with two small twists. First and least, tanks will want to face this guy away from the group because he has, you guessed it, a frontal cone AoE called Colossal Slam that he does periodically. Second, at about 75% health, he'll charge stage right and open a hole in the wall from which spills forth treasure beyond your wildest... No, I'm just kidding, it's more giants, obviously. These extra giants don't attack the party, rather they will charge to the opposite wall and start opening more holes, from which pours the purest gold and No, it's just more giants. At this point, you're probably wondering, where were all these giants before in the dungeon that was supposed to be all about giants? So you have two options here. Either kill the extra giants before they break through the wall, or kill Gygas the Great before you get overwhelmed by ads. Both fine options, and both depend on your group. If you have some relatively competent DPS, go for the latter, it's faster. Just make sure the tank is on stage right where he initially makes the hole in the wall, so you're not chasing him all over the arena trying to do DPS before more ads show up. And if you do choose to kill the ads, do the opposite and tank him stage left so you can grab the ads when they spawn. And that about wraps it up for the Copperbell Mines guide. As always, I hope this guide was helpful and informative. If you think so, give us a like and consider subscribing, and hit the notification bell so you get alerted when we post more guides. If there's something you didn't like or something you'd like to see in a future video, leave us a comment and let us know. Thank you all again for watching the Nox Corvus guide to Copperbell Mines. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you in the next guide.